record. Well, here we are, the final gathering, Ekkia, of our 2023 Fringe campaign. We've got two last shows that you need to talk about. I'll mention one briefly, but at the moment, since last week, Heather Kroll has been whipping up a frenzy in the press about aiming for 1 million tickets sold with the message of get out, buy more tickets, buy more tickets. Perhaps not the most nuanced messaging we've ever seen, sort of touching on the artistic aspect, but just crunching through those numbers to see if we can hit a benchmark. 854,000, I think, was the peak before that, was either last year or 2020. What do you think, Ekkia? A worthy aim, and do you think we'll get there?
It'd be cool if we did get there. I do think. But yeah, I don't even know what we're at now to see how far away that goal is.
We're getting closer. From what I saw, it was around the 750, up to above 750,000 a couple of weeks in, or 2.5 weeks in, and so aiming for another 250,000 after that. So we'll just, time will tell.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised by how many people say, oh, it's the Fringe on.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd like to address with our society at some point is people say, oh, I'm going to pop into the Fringe, by which they mean gluttony and the garden of earthly delights, unearthly delights. And that still is persistent, even though there's so much happening outside. In fact, most of it is happening outside. Maybe not the big ticket players who bring in the biggest money and commissions and everything. They all seem to center there, but there's a lot elsewhere. So there's still a lot of work to do from that communication method, try as they may, just to shift that. If you got any panaceas, any ideas on how to crack that code?
No, I mean, all of the shows that I've seen this Fringe, none of them have been in Gluttony or in The Garden that I've gone and reviewed. And honestly, they've all been amazing. So people just really need to expand their horizons a little bit. And
yes, and someone said to me last night they didn't see anything because they opened up the Fringe guide and they were just overwhelmed. So perhaps that is the role that smaller enterprises like ours can do in going out and reviewing those shows that aren't in the mainstream, just to entice people along, which tends to happen. We're not focused on having the ones with the most glitter and body parts showing and popular music used as the main draw card, or just swearing based comedy. There's a whole lot more in the mix. And let's kick off with one of your final two shows you wanted to mention.
Yes, so the show I saw first out of the two was Workmates, which was by David, I'm going to mispronounce his last name, David Arcadio.
Right.
I'm so sorry for that, and Robbie Greenwell.
Okay.
The Fringe one is now over, but that was an office comedy. Absolutely hilarious. It sort of followed this man's first week in the office, and he arrives to find there's only one other in-person worker, and the sort of duality between the chill co-worker and the anal co-worker and just office life. They really use like physical comedy and sketch comedy really, really well. And they made their whole stage into a full office, like with all the bells and whistles, even to the classic break room kitchen posters, like wash the dishes and have you seen all the missing forks? It was a really, really entertaining show. And I look forward to seeing what they do in the future.
All right, let's have a go as well. David Arcadio.
Yep.
That's one way of saying
that sounds.
Yeah. Anyway,
my mouth is not in its best condition at the moment, so
of course, because you've had all your
got my wisdom
removed.
teeth last week. Yes.
All right. Well, I'll give you a short break because I did manage to go and see, not as a reviewer, just as a member of the audience, Pirates of Penzance. This was put on by Emma Knight's Productions. Emma is a true treasure of our local art scene. And what she's done, and this has been running for many years, this particular production by Ammonites, and I'm glad it was back again because, in fact, 10 years of doing it, might I say, they've adapted the Gilbert and Sullivan classic operetta down to 60 minutes. And they did, the one I saw was at the the Maritime Museum in Port Adelaide, on that boat, which is in the main foyer area there. And it was an absolute joy. Someone asked me what I thought, and I just said I was smiling the whole time. It was pure bliss, great casting, and just absolute fun. And between you and me, I actually think it's better than a full production of the Gilbert and Sullivan piece, because it was enough. I had just the right amount of Gilbert and Sullivan in that. Good fun, good interaction with the audience. It's still running, but it's sold out. They're at the Botanic Gardens, at the Barossa Chocolate Factory, the Jade, etc. But next time round, I'm hoping that it'll be back. Go and see it. Your last show to mention, Ekkia, for 2023.
Outbound by Darcy May, which was a music cabaret show.
Yes.
She has one show left Sunday at the Jade. I checked about an hour ago. They're not sold out yet, so you can still grab a ticket.
Okay.
But it's basically a fun folk rock music. She takes a bunch of covers that all have songs that have impacted her life and mean something to her. And she takes them and brings them into her own musical style, which is really amazing. She covers like people from Kate Bush to Dua Lipa, ABBA, some musical theatre songs. She is a graduate of musical theatre with a bachelor. Some of the highlights for me was she did a really hilarious sort of performance with Kate Miller-Heidke's You've Underestimated Me, Dude. And also she did an acoustic version of Feel Good by Gorillaz, which I've never heard, but she did it really, really, really amazingly. And she was also accompanied by local artist Matt Nolan, who was on the guitar. Beautiful show, really lovely venue. She also had she told the audience she recently bought a voice changer looper device. And she was having a lot of fun with that on stage, like giving herself voice effects to help along with the songs and things. And she did a little original song that she wrote that morning using the looper device, just using her voice sort of a-cappellaing herself. Yeah.
I love it. She's using one of those, but transparently, as opposed to sneaking it in.
Yes. No, this was her first solo show, her debut performance, and I really look forward to seeing where her musical career takes her.
And the title of the show, Outbound, what's your take on its relevance to that material?
I'm not sure. I think it's a little bit with sort of looking at sort of her life and how all the music that's taken her through her life's journey. Yeah.
Nicely done. Don't you love a question without notice when you're recovering from major surgery? All right. Well, Ekkia Evans, thank you once again for going above and beyond and diving in and picking up the slack, because I was doing my own show and not reviewing as much this time around. But our powder's dry.
Yes.
He's hoping we do it again in 2024. All things
fingers
being
crossed.
Equal. Yes. All right. And thanks, everyone. You can see all the reviews at theadelaideshow.com.au and just click the reviews tab at the top of the page. Until next time, thank you. And more Adelaide Show podcasts return. In fact, we have an episode coming out this weekend with Atlas Genius, amazing band from Adelaide that's done huge things in America and around the world at the moment. And watch this space, Hayley, that's Hayli, a new female vocalist, a voice that just melts butter, cuts through you, anything you can imagine. Beautiful voice, no voice changer required at all. And she has her EP launch being set for Pirate Life in next month, April 2023. So we're going to get into the story of what happens when you're suddenly a major band and you're on talk shows in the US for Atlas Genius, and then we're right there at the beginning with Hayley. That's just one. There are so many topics lined up, including, I will mention this, we're looking at the dark side of Adelaide's comedy scene, where there have been some female comics finally making noise about some of the horrid way they're treated backstage by some male comics. And we are going to blow the lid off that. And I believe there's talk within a growing group of female comics and producers of setting some mandatory standards of behavior. And I think that's just crucial because we're losing female talent. They just don't want to stick around with it. And that's not a laughing matter. On that note, Ekkia, let's put a smile back in our face for the good side of everything and enjoy the last few days of Fringe.
Yes. See you, Steve.
Bye-bye.